So I think people coming into your group just elevating as a leader so they can learn to delegate efficiently and get back some of their time is important. Just wanted to get that out there. But someone trying to get more efficient in their day and going through your delegation meaning, what do you think the first steps is to someone to learning how to delegate more efficiently?
So Jason, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and kind of fill in the gap that I left out?
Well, I think you got most of it. That's what I do now as a business coach, as a speaker, author, podcaster. That's what I do. Invented a system called the Exeter Operating System, XOS, to help take my clients through these 7 stages of this method to get them to a place where they can exit at the top dollar when they're ready. That's what I do professionally. My background, I spent 13 years in pastoral ministry in my senior year of high school, all through college, and then as a young adult, got totally fed up with that and said, I got to go do something else. So I went and got a master's in education, started teaching school for 4 years. As I was getting ready to go into my 5th year, the Great Recession caught up. My teaching position got cut in the building. And so I had to do something different. So I decided to become an entrepreneur, become a business owner. I didn't know how to spell entrepreneur at the time. Didn't even really know what that was, but I started a company, grew that company, and we had great success, a lot of profit. It was really good. And people started asking me how to do it. How did you build this? And so I started coaching people, kind of going back to my roots as a pastor and teacher, being a coach. And then in 2021, I stepped completely away from daily operations to focus primarily on coaching and speaking. That's it. Now I've written a book called Exit Without Exiting, talk about my journey, how I did it.
Did you exit that business or do you still own that business?
So I exited the business in the most terrible way possible. It's a horrible story. So I had it sold, and the people who were going to buy it, we can get into it, but it was a terrible deal. Ultimately, at the beginning, it was really good. They stepped in to run daily operations, allowing me to continue to build my other companies. And I was still getting paid. Everything was good until I didn't get paid anymore. And then things started happening. And the next thing I know, I'm millions of dollars in debt in that company, and all my employees are gone, and there was nothing left. And so that was another book that I'll be writing on how not to do what I did, because I took a multi-million-dollar company, handed it to someone who I trusted under a contract to buy it, and they raped the company of every value, and here I stand with nothing. So the good news is I still had other companies going, and it wasn't life defining, but it was pretty close.
So I think that's why I made the point about Einstein, because Lucas is alluding to, I think most people, they don't even really know where to focus or what to focus on. They're trying to do so many things that they're not doing anything right, as opposed to spending more concerted time focusing on what they actually need to accomplish, what the actual problem is, and then solve it. I feel like people solve a problem that may not even need to be solved, if that makes sense. I'm sure you see that, Jason, in a lot of what you do.
So the 10-block weekly method actually is based on the idea of 10 blocks is that there's 2 blocks per day for 5-day work, morning, afternoon, 5 days a week. And what I teach my clients to do is, all right, let's first list all the crap that you do on a regular basis, whether it's team meetings, whether it's Zoom meetings, admin tasks, writing content, shooting videos. What is it that you do on a regular basis every week? Just make the list. Don't worry about putting in any order. Now that list is out there, we know this is what we do on a regular basis, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly. These are the things we do on a regular basis. And so I'm looking at my 10-block weekly schedule. I put it on Post-it notes right below I've got 2 screens, so it's below my screen on the left. We're at Friday afternoon right now, and I can look at Friday afternoon and I can see what is in my Friday afternoon block. If it's not on that block, if I don't have it listed, I don't do it. I push it to the block where that's listed. Now, how did I put it in the block? Well, have the list, all the stuff that I got to do. Then the next thing I do is figure out, okay, are there any meetings? Are there any things that I have to attend that I don't get control over? If I have to go to meet with my marketing team, who's an outsourced third-party marketing team, and they require, me to meet on Wednesdays. Okay, well, I got to block a Wednesday to do that. I don't get to choose it. I have to go to that meeting, or my attorney, or if there's a meeting I lead, I don't get to choose the date. I put that on my schedule first. Then I look at beyond that, when am I most productive? I think it was Dan Pink that wrote the book When, W-H-E-N. Fantastic book. And it's all about knowing when you're most productive. Are you a morning person? You're an afternoon person? You're a night person? And then once you know when you're most productive, for me, it's mornings. Before noon, I'm the most productive. Then I figure out what is my highest value activity. Usually for us entrepreneurs, it's revenue generating activities. Now you take your highest value activity, the time that you're most productive, and you put that stuff in those blocks. And then you build your rest of the week around that. And if you're looking at Tuesday morning is, hey, like I'm looking at mine, is write content, and it's do not disturb time. Everything's off. Email, phone, nothing. Nobody can bother me. Tuesday mornings from 9 to noon, nothing but writing content. Well, if somebody called and said, hey, Tuesday, we need to meet to go over something. Well, not on Tuesday morning, we don't, because that's my highest value activity, writing content, and it's my best productive, most productive time of the day. This idea of staying focused, I believe focus stands for follow one course until successful. Follow one course until successful. This 10 block weekly schedule helps you follow that one course until you're successful. And then when the next block clicks over, you move to the next thing.
So I think people coming into your group just elevating as a leader so they can learn to delegate efficiently and get back some of their time is important. But just wanted to get that out there. But someone trying to get more efficient in their day and going through your delegation, meaning what do you think the first steps is to someone to learning how to delegate more efficiently?
So there's a thing that I came up with called the training wheels to delegation. And I called it this because we've all had the experience, or at least most of us had the experience of learning to ride a bike. I remember when I was a kid, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad bought me this Schwinn Spider, and it was the coolest thing ever. And it had training. I remember the day he was putting it together on the front porch, and it had training wheels. And you know how training wheels don't really touch the ground the same time the rear tire does. It kind of tips back and forth a little bit, and it gives you this sense of understanding balance. But at some point, you take the training wheels off and you learn to ride the bike without them. So what I'm about to tell you is training wheels. This is not a permanent plan for how to delegate, but the training wheels of delegation start like this. Number one, you need to make a list of the 10 things that you're doing on a regular basis that you really should have other people doing, because we're not going to be able to build a multi-million-dollar or even billion-dollar organization if we're doing everything. So we got to be honest and make a list. So number one thing on your delegation training wheels is make a list of the top 10 things that you're doing and just put that list and pick one. So step 2 is you're going to pick one of those things from that list, and you're going to assign this, you're going to delegate this to someone for 30 days. Now, 30 days is really important because that way it gives you a chance to learn how to do this, and they get a chance to learn how to do this. So you call Bob in and say, hey, Bob, here's the thing I need you to do. Here's why we're doing it. Here's how we're doing it. Here's when we're doing it. We're only going to do this for 30 days. We want to see how you do. Okay, that's step 2.
So Jason, you talk about, you teach a lot about freeing up time so you're executing the most important tasks of the business as the owner, but also have some, it's kind of interesting because it allows you to exit if you want, but in turn, doing this will also grow the business much faster. So it's super cool in my eyes. But where does that journey look like for you in your current businesses, and which role are you in now, and what does that look like if you ever are going to exit without exiting?
So I think this goes back to, and that's a good question, this goes back to there's 3 tiers of what I refer to as the entrepreneurial evolution. If you think about it like a triangle, as a matter of fact, I think I can put this on the screen behind me. You can see this.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Again, I'm getting real big good to great vibes here, getting me some Jim Collins vibes right here.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So this is what's behind me for those watching on YouTube. There's 3 tiers of the entrepreneurial evolution, and tier 1 is the owner operator, and it's the largest of the tiers. So with the largest of the tiers, what you're looking at is 90% of entrepreneurs never move out of owner operator status. They own the business, but they're the operator. So in reality, they're the job owner. They have a job that they own. They get paid probably better than their friends and counterparts, but they take all the risk and they stay in tier 1. Tier 2 is that next sliver of the triangle, these tiers of evolution of entrepreneurship. And I would think about maybe, 5 to 9% of people move into tier 2, which is owner manager. Owner managers are now not doing everything, but they still manage everything. They're still wearing the hero cape, and they stay firmly in the owner manager status. 1%, I think, of entrepreneurs move into tier 3, which is owner investor. They own the asset. They act as an investor in the asset. They're paid cash flow and profitability from an asset that they own and control, but they're not necessarily involved. Think about it in terms of owning a single family residence, a duplex, versus owning an apartment complex. And then take that up another step. Like I own an entire complex of 1,000 doors or whatever. Like I'm not involved in checking on rent. I'm not involved in making sure it's clean and the yard's mowed, but I am getting paid as a result of that because I'm building my portfolio, building my asset. That owner investor status is what we all should aim at. Tier 3. That's actually my license plate on my truck. Tier 3. That's what I want to be. In some of my businesses, I own 5. I'm tier 3. In most of them, I'm owner manager. I'm not an owner operator. Even in my coaching business, coaching businesses are kind of funny. It's very difficult to ever get out of the spotlight because we're the coach, we're the personality. I only spend probably 20 active hours a week in this business. The other 20 or so 25 hours I work per week is on looking at how I can build this asset bigger, which is not necessary to keep the business running. It just gives me bigger opportunities later. So I consider that owner manager because I've got a small team of people that do all my stuff day to day. But the business that I exited from, I had moved into owner investor status over those last 3 years until it all fell apart. But I think all of us want to be tier 3. We want to be in that place where the business runs with or without us and we get paid every day.
Appreciate having you on. Anything you want to leave the audience with, any way to get a hold of you, or any kind of things that you feel like would be impactful that we didn't cover that you feel strongly about?
Well, I would just say that, look, if you can get out of tier 1 entrepreneurship and move up at least to tier 2, your life is going to significantly improve. So do not stay trapped in the ironic prison of entrepreneurship down there in tier 1. Get to tier 2, and especially aim for tier 3. Tier 3 is what everybody should be aiming for. If you want help doing that, that's exactly what I do. I show you how to scale. I can even show you how to exit. Whatever you need, I can help you with tier 3. Go to therealjasonduncan.com.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, comment with something you learned, and make sure to subscribe to this channel. We give away more free advice on how to create wealth based on things we actually do every single day than any other channel on YouTube. Make sure to share this with a friend because our mission is to inspire you to think differently about freedom.